Hi there, I'm Robert Joseph, and I haven't talked to you folks in like almost over a year, I think. So the reason for that is, the last year has kind of been up and down for me. So I've been really trying to get my business here, the sewing business that I have here in the town that I live in, off the ground, and that's been quite challenging. So I've kind of realized that I'm only going to make a certain amount of income with that particular business. So I am going to be focusing my energies back on some more online things, which means that I will be bringing you more videos. Those videos will probably be in the realm of actual sewing videos, sewing tutorials, and things like that, especially with the machines behind me. I'm going to be doing a whole series on this machine because my mind has been changed about it. It is the Brother LX3817, and there are a few different colors of this machine. But once I get those videos going on, I will actually explain in those videos what changed my mind about this machine. So generally, as you know, most of the machines that I use are Brother, at least for the home sewing. The Brothers have been really good for me over the years, and so that's why I use those machines. I do not get paid by Brother. I'm not affiliated with them at all. So all the opinions I have about the machine are my own. I don't get paid for any of this. So I'll be doing a whole series of videos with this sewing machine. There are some changes that are going to be coming to the Sew It Like a Man sewing patterns. So I've been going back and I've been correcting some of them, mostly the information packets. So I found that there was an error on a couple of the information packets as far as the stretch factor of the knit that should be used, and most all of my patterns you should be using knit fabric with at least 50% stretch. So if not 50 to 100% stretch. So for instance, if you have 10 inches of fabric, it should stretch to at least 15 inches. So 50% of 10 is 5, so add 5 to 10, and that's how I get the 15 for the minimum amount of stretch you should be using. So I'm going back and I'm just updating some of the information packets. So understand that for those of you who are purchasing patterns on Etsy, Etsy makes it a little bit difficult to update the patterns. So if you find that you don't have access to the information packet, and that's the file that says pattern information. The pattern only files just have the pattern that you can print out. So you should always have access to those, because I very rarely actually update any of the patterns unless the sizing is off, which I haven't had to do that in a very long time. So only the information packets will be updated. And speaking of the information packets, I'm going to go grab one really quick, and I'm going to show you something that I've started adding to those. Okay, I'm back, and I have an information packet. This is for the backless full waist, is pattern number 25. And for those of you who are familiar, I just have basic information, the yardage and everything that comes in this PDF, and if I can open the pages here, and then a basic fabric layout guide with other information here. This is about the fabric to use and needles and things like that. And then more information about the stitches. And then as a reminder, I always, it should also be on the pattern, but most of my seam allowances are a 1/4 inch seam allowance, unless it's specified otherwise on the pattern, like your hems, or if you're adding elastics to that. And then always there's the link to the website and then my YouTube channel. But then after that, that was usually the end of the sewing the packet for the information. I've actually, on the next page, what I've done here, is that I've basically just given you the sewing steps. So if you don't want to watch my hours long videos, and yes, I know that my videos are long, but I'm teaching you how to sew it. I'm not just showing you how it goes together. I've been asked for a lot of people, from a lot of customers, that they want written instructions. And the thing about written instructions is I can actually write these type of instructions where it's just the sentence or what you're supposed to do next pretty quickly. However, it's the drawings that actually take a long time. It's these flat drawings here that take a long time to actually draw and then get into the packet. And so that's one of the reasons I don't do that, is because it takes so much more time. And I spend a lot of time on these patterns. And that's why I don't get so many out all the time. But hopefully that will change. Anyway, so to the newer patterns, I'm not going to be going back to updating unless I need to update the pattern for another reason. But the newer patterns that are coming out will have the step-by information for putting the garment together. So that's something new that I'll be adding to all the new patterns that come out. As far as pictorial diagrams, adding those, technically that wasn't the basis of my company, Sew It Like a Man. My idea was that men don't ask for directions, so instead I give video tutorials. So, and when I was teaching at the college level, I was always providing videos for the assignments for the students, which actually helped them further along in their sewing and fashion careers. So I was already doing that at school. When I initially started the company in 2015, I posted up on Etsy, and instead of writing these instructions out, I just did the video tutorial of how to sew it together, and that went over really, really well. So it was kind of the basis that, men don't read directions. I know that's kind of maybe not a popular thing to say, but, that's how the idea of my company started. So, and yes, that was way back in 2015. And I was, I think, one of the first people who was actually doing men's sewing patterns like this on Etsy. There weren't a lot of other people there doing it. So anyway, and then the final page on the packet is actually the diagram for your page layout for how your pages should be lined up and taped together. So I've been doing that on a lot of the newer information packets. So that's the information. That's about the information packet. That's what I'm planning, starting to do now, just writing out the steps. And who knows, maybe it will go into actually getting pictorial diagrams for putting the patterns together. But I like doing the YouTube videos, or putting the videos on YouTube anyway. It just adds to the experience. So, and I know that a lot of you appreciate those, and that makes me feel good when you say that you're actually learning as you're actually making a garment for yourself. So I just have notes here about what I wanted to say. The products, so I have a note here for products and patterns, and yes, I am putting out some new patterns. I'm going to try to start adhering to a certain amount of patterns per month to get out. But I do have, my regular sewing business here, which isn't a huge business, but I got to take care of that first before I shoot videos and things like that. So some of the videos will just be more just sewing related, so there won't be a pattern with them. There are other videos that will just be learning to sew videos, like my apparel arts videos, which are completely free. Remember, level 0, 1, and 2 are completely free for you. The patterns for level 1 and 2 are on my sewitlikeaman.com site under Learn to Sew. You can buy those pattern packets, and they're only $5. So I'm going to be adding to those over the next few months. So for the underwear and the swimwear patterns, I'm kind of running out of ideas, and even though I've gotten a lot of suggestions from you guys, from my customers, some of the requests I've been getting for like really small, really stringy stuff, which is great. I can definitely make the patterns, but the challenge is being able to actually sew them on a home sewing machine. These feed dogs, where my finger's going, down here, they don't necessarily like to work with small, detailed, elasticy fabrics, so it's hard to get through the home sewing machine. So it's like I gotta like come up with ways to figure out how to get them sewn by a home sewer that doesn't have the capabilities of factory cover stitch with a binder and elastic cover and things like that. So I just kind of have to come up with some way of making them. So that's what I mean by running out of ideas. But also I'm going to start focusing also more on apparel. So you'll see shirts and tops and bottoms and regular clothes and things like that. So I've been working on a lot of things, and some of those things will come out this fall. I'm hoping October will be a big release for some more apparel related items. So what's the next thing here? So I've been getting a lot of requests for full-size patterns, either large format printer patterns instead of the small pages and taped together. So one of the reasons I don't do that is to protect my copyright, the patterns from really being just easily traced and copied and put back out there. So if you're going to copy my patterns, I'm going to make it a little bit more difficult for you. So if you have a full-size, 36-inch plotter, I really kind of consider you to be a manufacturer, and you really should be paying for not that my patterns aren't professional, you should really be working with a pattern maker one-on-one for a lot of your styles and your details and fits, right? So if you're taking my fit, basically you're just using my pattern to manufacture the product. Now, some of you have actually emailed me and talked to me on Instagram about that. I don't have a problem with you making products to sell with my patterns as long as you're not selling the pattern itself. So just understand that, and a shout out, to me is great, but I know that probably doesn't look good for your business if somebody else is making your patterns, but that's the way it works in the industry. So that's one of the reasons is, protecting my work is one of the reasons I don't do that. Right now, the patterns are only $8. So that's something, I know other companies give you all the sizes of the different patterns. I don't do that. They also charge more. So, which leads me to something that none of you want to hear is that I've got to raise my price. It's coming, a price increase is coming. It's not going to happen this year. So I haven't raised my price in almost 2 years. But, I just went grocery shopping last night, and I eat oatmeal every morning, and my box of oatmeal used to be $2.50 and now it's $3.50. So everything is increasing in price, which makes it more expensive to live, as we all know. But I'm not going to increase the price this year. The price increase will probably start effective January 2nd, 2023. So just keep that in mind, that if you have patterns in your box on Etsy or on my site in your shopping cart, anyway, that the price increase is going to go up at the beginning of the year. I don't know how much yet. I've got to do some numbers and figure out what I want to offer in that. So I might split patterns up. So if you want the large format pattern, you'll have to buy just that one, or you'll have to buy the home print, or a combination of both will be a different price tier. So I'm working with that, but I need to raise my prices. $8 is super cheap for a pattern, especially with the amount of work that I do. And I'm probably going to do a whole video on all the work that I do that goes into this pattern that is only $8. So just be advised that a price increase is coming next year. Okay. So the other thing is that I have on here is So currently, right now, I only offer the mail order patterns, the paper patterns that get mailed to you. I only offer that on my sewItlikeaman.com site. That's my standalone branded site, which is actually, I use Shopify. That should be no secret. I use Shopify as my platform for that site, and it does pretty well for me. It's easy to redesign, which I'm actually kind of thinking about redoing now. It does need a major redesign, but I've got to do that myself. I have to do everything myself because I don't have the finances to actually pay other people to do this. So I've done everything myself. So I need to get back to where, oh yes, mail patterns, mail order patterns. I may be offering those on Etsy. I'm not too sure. Sometimes it has to do with the shipping. I don't care for their shipping labels and the way they do the shipping on their site. So I much prefer the shipping on my sewItlikeaman.com site better. So I have more options there. The other thing is that I can't remember what I was going to say. I lost my train of thought. I cut parts of what I was talking about, the mail part, out, so you probably just saw a cutaway there. But the thing about doing mail order or physical products on Etsy is that it's expensive. It's expensive to list, and then they charge me a lot for the transaction fee, the sales fee, and even though the mailing fee is comparable, I don't get charged all those other things on Shopify. Using my Shopify site. So it's a lot more expensive for me to sell on Etsy than it is Shopify. Okay, they still charge me for transactions, like for your credit cards, but Etsy also charges for their share of it other than just the listing fee. So that's why I was not selling the physical product, the physical patterns on that site. And speaking of physical products, there's one thing on my list that I have not shown you. I'm going to grab one of those too. Okay, so I'm back. So talking about physical product, I'm actually starting to make and sell some physical product on my sewItlikeaman.com website. So when you're on the website, go to the Handmade section up in the navigation headers. So click on Handmade and you'll get a drop down to certain things. And right now I have these see-through stretch lace jock straps, as well as my T-back Pride thongs, as well as the swimwear, the swim briefs that I've been selling with the Robski Art fabric. And I'll go ahead and leave his link down below as well. So I'm starting to offer some physical product, which are based on the patterns that you are buying. So you'll probably see more of that product on that site in the coming months, okay? So I have lots of fabric that I need to use, I need to get, I don't want to say get rid of, but I need to actually put it out there because it's not really fabric that I can use for sampling. So some of my sample fabrics are a little bit more stable, but if I have a pattern, I always do it in a fabric like this so that I know that it works for you. So I'm actually starting to sell some products with the fabrics that I have currently. And I may also be having a huge sample sale because I have boxes and boxes of samples that didn't quite work. They're completely wearable. So kind of maybe look for that. I might be thinking about doing that toward the end of the year. But understand, if you buy a sample, you can't return it. There are no returns on that stuff, and I'll make that clear and do another video when I get those up there. So I don't know what to do with all these samples. I mean, I can't wear them. It's like you can only wear so much underwear. So I need to kind of get rid of some of that stuff. But understand, they would all be a size medium because that's what I am, and that's what I kind of test things on my mannequin for. So just understand that. So the other little tidbit one of the things that I've learned to do in the last 6 months, I know this has nothing to do with sewing, it has nothing to do with, I don't know why I'm even bringing this up, but I've learned to make soap. So I've been learning to make basic soaps. So I don't like the perfumes and the smells. The colors are fun, but I'm really sensitive to fragrances. So it's like I really want soap that has no fragrance to it or no added fragrance. So you may kind of see some soap for sale on my soaplikeaman.com site, and then I'll tell you all about that once I get things ready. So that's pretty much what I have now. This was a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be. So I just kind of got into the information a little bit more than I thought I was going to get into. But just a breakdown. I'm kind of coming back to I don't have my mic on. I didn't realize I didn't have my mic pinned on, so it may sound a little echoey in the previous video. I'll move this over a little bit. So I have hardwood floors in here, so sometimes it sounds like it's a little echoey or like I'm in a cave. Anyway, so I just wanted to run down again. I'm kind of start doing more stuff online because my physical business here, I'm realizing that it's not going to be a big, financial success for me. I will get regular amounts during the month, but it won't be a very huge business. So I'm going to start to do more sewing stuff here on my YouTube channel. I mentioned this machine. I'm going to do a whole series with this Brother machine, which is very inexpensive. So I'll let you know when those are going to be coming out. Just follow me on my Instagram account at Robert Joseph Sewing, and so that's usually where I post things that I'm doing. So check that. And then the other thing I talked about were new products or things about the pattern information. So the information you now have in the newer patterns, you now have the basic steps in those that pattern information. And then I will not be doing full-size patterns that you can print on large plotters anytime soon. That might be something that starts next year. Speaking of next year, again, there's going to be a price increase. I will keep you abreast on that front and what the amount of the price increase will be. And then also, probably no mail order patterns right now on Etsy, but you can of course get some of them on my sewitlikeaman.com site. I don't have all of them up there, but I'm going to be working on trying to get some more of those because I know some of you like to have the actual physical hard pattern, but still be advised that I can only ship within the US. So that's my update for now. I know there's probably a lot of questions. I don't answer a lot of comment questions on YouTube. I don't go in to the comments a lot. If you need to ask me a question, I prefer that you do it on my Instagram account at Robert Joseph Sewing. Because I'm on Instagram at least once or twice a day. So and the other time I'm working in my studio trying to get things going. So anyway, that's it for now. I know it was a little bit longer than I kind of planned this video for, but that was just a little update, let you know what the last year was like and kind of what I'm planning, and I will try not to be so absent. Okay, so thank you very much. I really appreciate all of those of you who have subscribed and continue to subscribe. There are going to be new videos coming out more regularly, so look forward to those. So I'm happy to be providing this information for you. And if you have any pattern suggestions for apparel, let me know. So just send me a little DM in my Instagram. Again, that's at Robert Joseph Sewing. So thank you for watching. If you're not a subscriber yet, please subscribe to my channel for new sewing stuff coming in the future. And with that, thank you so much for watching and be well.